Hi, I'm Brian Groves with the City of San Angelo, and today we're here to talk about the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone with Monica Ramos and John Mark Hogue. Thank you all so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks
for having us.
Yeah.
So first off, can y'all explain what the Tax Increment Reinvestment Zone is, or TIRZ like we like to call it?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and answer that question. So this is really the primary source of funding in San Angelo for property owners to take advantage of. It's grant funding up to $75,000 for exterior improvements, facade improvements like windows, doors, landscaping. As far as interior, it could be secondary egress, smoke alarm, fire alarm system, safety features for the interior.
So we say zone. Where is the zone located? Is it all over San Angelo, or is there a certain area that it's located?
So there's a portion that is primarily downtown, but it goes up North Chadburn and then kind of goes around into 29th Street. It is kind of a wonky, jagged zone, so you would need to take a look at the map to see if you're in that zone area. We have the north and the south areas to apply for, and when the zone was created, it was really based off of commercial properties in that zone, and it omitted any of the residential properties.
So you kind of talked about funding already, but how exactly does funding work? You said $75,000. Do they have to match any kind of funds, or how exactly does that work for people that don't know about TIRZ?
It depends on what zone that you're in. The north, if your project is less than $10,000, then there's no match. If it's more than $10,000, then there's a 10% match. If you're an applicant in the south, that requires a 25% match. And really the match is part of your project cost, so it's not like it's an additional amount that you're adding to your project. You should definitely wait to start your construction. You want to apply for the TIRZ funding first. And that just shows that you have all your ducks in a row. You know your project costs, the estimates. You have all of your paperwork in line. And so this shows your due diligence to the TIRZ board, and they're able to review it and say, okay, this is a project worth funding. This applicant put together all of the paperwork that's needed for the application. So this means that they're more than likely going to follow through with their project. So it's important that they wait. And then it is a reimbursable grant. So after you go through the process of review and you receive your final letter of approval, then you can begin work on your project.
What are some things that people should know before they submit a project for TIRZ, before it goes to the TIRZ board?
So you'll need your application, a copy of your W-9. You'll prepare a summary and a narrative, which those things are pretty easy. It's just talking about the scope of your work, how it enhances the area, how it helps the neighborhood that you're in. And you'll also submit your budget worksheet, again, all the costs that you're going to incur for this project, and then you'll submit it to downtown San Angelo. And we can help you with the application and look over it and make sure that you have everything that you need. For the south, it's a little bit different. Most of the southern properties are within the Design and Historic Review Commission, or historic boundaries, where they would have to go to the Design and Historic Review Commission first. And so we can also help you know whether or not you're in that zone and help you with that application as well.
John Mark, being on the TIRZ board, what's an example of some success stories that you guys have had, or items that you guys have approved that have really stuck out to you?
Well, there's been lots of different ones. A lot of the development that you've seen in the south zone or in the downtown area, there's probably not many projects, whether it's a restaurant or a nightclub or a bar or anything like that down there that hasn't had some measure of TIRZ fund investment. You also, if you've noticed the improvements downtown on the Chadburn Street, we can all, in addition to grants for businesses, we can also fund public improvement projects, and so there was a significant portion of TIRZ money used for the improvements downtown on Chadburn Street in that area. There's a number of, just a few, just to come off the top of my head, in the north area, we have, the Franco's restaurant, Western Sky has been redone, and all of those sorts of projects have used and relied upon TIRZ funds to help, and there's many other smaller projects all up and down that we don't have time to really go over, but it's several hundred over the course of time, and maybe even more than that.
So you serve as the board chair for the TIRZ board.
That's right.
Can you talk about what the role is of the TIRZ board when it comes to this funding?
Yeah, it's we're kind of the right hand and the left hand, so to speak, when it comes to TIRZ. Monica and downtown San Angelo handle a lot of the marketing and outreach and initial contact with people that are interested in applying and kind of helping them through that process. Then there's the city staff who works closely with Monica that also help move the applications forward, make sure they've got all the documentation done, make sure the project fits within the zoning and other requirements. And eventually what happens is after they've been visiting with Monica and they've submitted their application and worked through it with city staff, it will come before the board. And the board's role is an advisory board to the city council. All the members are appointed by members of the city council. The staff will then bring those, the planning and development staff will bring those before the board at a meeting, go through what the application is, how much money they've requested, whether it's, we talk about south versus north, but, because that just depends on how much funding is available. And then the board will make a recommendation either to approve an application, or they can also make a recommendation to say, no, we can't fund this, or they can send it back and say, your application is not complete, or we need more information, and send it back to the applicant, who can then amend it and bring it back. Ultimately, what happens is once we approve an application, then it has to go before City Council, who has the final approval. And most of the time, those applications that are approved by the TIRZ board are approved by the City Council. And that's the process that it goes through. Once you have that approval, and then that's when Monica was talking about getting the letter saying you're approved, you can start work on your project, and it will be reimbursable. So you have to spend the money on your project up first, but you get it reimbursed by the city through TIRZ funds.
And when you have that letter, most banks here in San Angelo, local banks, are willing to work with the TIRZ applicant because they know that they have that good faith letter. So they're more prone to give loans out for the project.
So what does the board look for whenever it comes to, I know at the South sometimes it can get kind of creative because you have less money, and so sometimes it seems like you spread some of the money out amongst the people that are applying. How do you guys decide which ones to go for and which ones to pass on?
Well, it's all about revitalization is the main thing that TIRZ is really for. And if any of you have been in San Angelo any length of time, you can remember when there was not as much activity downtown as there is now. If you go down there at night now, there's cars on the street, there's people there, and even during the day there's more business going on. That's a direct result of some of the revitalization efforts, not just with TIRZ, but that the city's also been working on for a long period of time. So in the South Zone, primarily the things that we're looking for private property, businesses, an old building that hasn't been used or is in disrepair, and we're looking at an owner that wants to come in and revitalize that building or repair it or open a new business in that building, or maybe revamp their existing business. Some of those things, for example, the Angry Cactus is one, the Cactus Hotel, different projects like that all over downtown that have been funded with that. So we're really looking for a project that's going to be taking an old or underused building and revitalizing it and bringing it back to life. And so there are all sorts of projects all up and down Chadburn Street and Oak Street in the downtown area that fit into that category. On the north side, it's still the same purpose. What we want is revitalization, and we just have a little bit more funds in the North Zone to deal with, and we don't have nearly as many applicants for that. It's a longer area. It's not as dense as far as urban. It's got a lot of more residential population in that area, and so residences, these are all for commercial properties. It doesn't go for a residence or anything of that nature. And something that's hopefully to get a business in there or to help a business grow and improve, have more customers, look better for the public. And the idea is that as we do this piece by piece all up and down the TIRZ zone, it will bring up the economic development. The neighborhood will look better, and you'll have people be more interested in investing in property in those locations. And then that's what we've seen happen in downtown, and we're in the process of continually moving that as further north as we can.
We talked about two different zones. I'm assuming there's two different windows on when people can submit projects. So for the south, is the window open or is that closed for right now?
There is a window for it. I don't have the specific dates off the top of my head. We usually have one, but if there is funding left over, then we'll open it up again. We just opened it up for the second one, and you may know when that
Yeah, so it
is
generally
open right now.
begins in the fall, October, November timeframe. And then this window that's open right now is, the application period is open until April 30th.
Okay.
And so southern applicants can get their applications into downtown San Angelo. We're at 24 West Concho Avenue. Come by the office, you can give us a call. You can send an email to info@dtsa.org. It's always much better though to visit in person so that we can talk to you in person, face to face, get to know your ideas for your project and help you through the process. The North has an advantage to where they can apply at any time throughout the year. There's no set deadlines for the North. So we really hope to see more northern applications because just like John Mark mentioned, there's a lot of funding available in the North. And so downtown is here and ready to help.
That's great. So we see sometimes on our social media that, you know, the North is getting less entries. Why do you think they're getting less entries, and what can we do to help boost that?
Well, we're not really sure exactly why there's not as many applicants as the South. Like you mentioned, you know, we do want to see that uptick because just like the way it helps downtown, the TIRZ program can help the northern side of town. We're really working on our promotions using all forms of, you know, social media, news outlets. We're thinking about doing yard signage, perhaps mail outs to get the word out to people because there might be some property owners that just aren't aware of the program. And so we really want to do our due diligence of making sure that everyone that is within the TIRZ zone understands that they have this great opportunity in front of them.
I think there's a number of reasons. You know, in the past, the city has not done as well in marketing in the North Zone. Excuse me. As it has, it's a much larger geographic area. Doesn't have as much density of buildings. And so I think, but that's begun to change. And I think Monica, downtown San Angelo, are really doing a good job. Excuse me.
You're good.
Of getting that.
And it's also been mentioned that
Address.
perhaps it's because there's a little bit more of a Hispanic population as well in the North. I am somewhat bilingual, so I'm willing to help any Spanish-speaking person as best that I can. And if I can't help 100%, then I'm willing to reach out to someone else that can help me translate.
Yeah, and we also have, you know, there's issues about absentee landowners and whether they're interested in improving their properties or afraid that their taxes are going to go up if they improve their properties. But that's, you know, and just to make that clear, this is the funding used for this is not an additional tax. It's just a dedicated portion of the property taxes people already have in that zone. So your taxes aren't going to go up because of the TIRZ funding. And it's just the economic activity has just been it's been a more, I don't want to say derelict, but it's been a more depressed area of the city for a long, long time, and it's just going to take time. And it took time in the South. People forget, you know, when we started the TIRZ, I was on the city council back in 2006 or 2008 when we started, and it's taken a long time to get here. Now we're 20 years later. And so we just have to be patient and keep putting the message out there.
Yeah. So you kind of mentioned this earlier, but I want to plug it again. Where can people go for more information?
To Downtown San Angelo Inc. We're located next door to A-Rock Salon, right across from the Lions Club Charities downtown. It's 24 West Concho Avenue. Our phone number is 325-655-2345, and an email address is info@dtsa.org.
All right. Thank you guys both so much for being here today. For more information, you can visit Downtown San Angelo's website or the city's website, and please join us again next time. Thanks.